Ready to go to the airport? Are you ready to go to the airport? This is gonna be Olive's 67th flight. Pretty exciting. We're about to leave for the airport. I always make sure that her water bottle, I have her water bottle, and then I also have some treats and maybe in a little small washcloth just in case it gets hot. I can wet it and put it on her. And then I also make sure her carrier is clean, there's not excessive fur everywhere, and then I'll brush her really well. You want some CBD? Good girl. Come on, Olive. Let's go. Let's go, Olive. This way. Come on. Let's go. Shout out to my little mic so you can actually hear me. So since I'm traveling with Bryce, I actually get to have a backpack and Olive and then a carry-on. And the reason being is because Bryce will take the carry-on suitcase and then I will take all of my backpack because you only are allowed one carry-on item and your pet counts as a personal item. If I was not traveling with Bryce, I would be using a little roller bag for Olive, and then I would put my backpack in that, and then I'd have her Sherpa carrier with me as well. So then I would just put that in the overhead bin. But since I do have Bryce with me, I'm able to have a backpack and a roller bag, and then Olive's carrier with me as well. So with flying, when you fly with a dog, you have to check in at the counter, which is what we're doing right now, and then you pay the pet fee. Some airlines you can pay the pet fee online. However, with Southwest, they have to give you a little bag tag, and then they also will collect a pet fee of $95 each way. Hi! So right now, these people are getting inspected for their carrier because it's too tall. This bag doesn't have the ability to mush down, so it is too tall for the airplane. Usually Southwest doesn't inspect this stuff, but that one's like abnormally large. I've never been asked or inspected on Olive's carrier, nor have they have a waiter. They're usually pretty chill, and so the airlines that usually inspect the carriers are like United, JetBlue sometimes does, and American Airlines is guaranteed. So because their carrier is too tall, Southwest sells their own carrier that they can use, and it's just a little fee for that, but they'll just have to switch the cat that's in the bag over to their carrier. So if you see here, the bag doesn't have the ability to push down. Yes, she is definitely in there. We checked in, paid the pet fee, all is good. We're gonna head to security. Now could be a great time if you have time in between to allow your pet to go to the bathroom again at the pet relief area, or if there's an outdoor section. Highly recommend getting your dog comfortable with like a pee pad if they don't like the pet relief areas, because a lot of them are pretty gross. Olive will not go in them, but she'll go in rocks, wood chips, wherever. But we'll take her to the bathroom before we even get to the airport. And then sometimes outside the airport if we really think she needs to go again. Those people that had the carrier that were too big, I did actually go over and talk to them about the Sherpa carrier we use for Olive, because it is the size large, and the dimensions actually are bigger than what the airline allows, but since it's a soft-sided carrier, it has the ability to morph to under some spaces, and it can fit just fine. It's been on every single Southwest aircraft they possibly fly, and we've had no issues. I even talked with the representative, and they're like, oh yeah, we love that carrier. They all fit under our planes, and it's great. So yeah, we never had any issues. So with security, we have TSA-Pre, but if you did not have TSA-Pre, I'll tell you a little bit about what to expect with and without TSA-Pre. So because we have TSA-Pre, I do not have to remove my shoes. I can leave my jacket on. I don't have to take my laptop out or any liquids. And then with a dog, your hands don't get swabbed like they would in a TSA standard line. When you do a regular TSA line, you'll go through a walkthrough scanner, and then after a TSA agent will have your hands, ask for your hands like this, and then they'll swab your hands. When you do pre, they don't do any of that. If you are traveling and have TSA just regular, not pre, I recommend, if you have time in line, making sure your jacket's out, your technology's out of your bag. I usually would put my iPad in the carrier of Olive, that way it's ready to go. And then don't wear shoes with laces, like I am right now, but because I have TSA-Pre, it doesn't matter because I don't have to take my shoes off. You'll also take your dog out of their carrier, and then the bag will go through, and you'll hold your dog. You also don't have to take off their harness. Sometimes it can set off the sensor depending on the harness you have. But the worst case scenario is ask you to go through again, and they might just pat your dog a little bit. So when it comes to security, always choose the left lanes. It's natural human nature to choose the right lane, so they're always the longest ones. We skipped like 7 people in line because we chose the left lane. All of you doing such a good job. You're doing such a good job. Can I kiss this? Thank you. I recommend allowing at least 30 minutes before boarding at the gate. That way you have time to just kind of decompress, breathe, maybe get like a snack or something. Personal preference on how early, but I do recommend at least giving yourself 30 minutes just to kind of collect yourself, calm, especially if it's your first time flying. It can be super overwhelming. We are heading to the Centurion Lounge because when you have an Amex card, you get access to their lounges, which is really nice for when you just want to hang out or super early. Okay, now that we're settled in the lounge, I moved spots because this is a little bit better, a little more reserved, and a little like cove, so it's nice. Let's talk about pet relief areas. So the pet relief areas in most airports are pretty gross. However, a lot of people get worried about their pet having an accident on the plane, or how do they take care of it if their dog refuses to use these pet relief areas. Lots of solutions. One, you can bring a potty pad liner, set it on the bathroom floor in a stall, and let them go on that. So that involves some training. You can also have them go to the bathroom before security or before you get to the airport. You can put a little doggy diaper on them if you're worried about it. Putting a liner in their carrier is a great idea too, for especially longer flights. And then just bring like a little grocery bag that's disposable. So if they do have an accident, you can just pack it up and then throw it in a bag and then seal it off. If you don't have that and that happens, you can also use the barf bags behind the seat to dispose of any waste that's needed from the plane. I have never had an accident in our carrier with Olive before. When you train them in the carrier, you can allow them to create a safe space for them. Most dogs don't go to the bathroom where they sleep. Most dogs can hold their bladder for a really long time, more than we give them credit for. To make sure that mitigate their meal plan, don't let them eat 4 hours before on average. Also make sure that they have water still, but not too much. If you have a dog that is more prone to being anxious in our carrier, make sure you do allow enough time for training. I have a bunch of videos on my Instagram page and website that have all these tips and tricks on how to help mitigate. Ooh, yummy food. On how to mitigate anxiety in dogs. If you are interested in doing like a medication from a vet, like trazodone is a very big one. I flew with trazodone. Acepromazine. We did use acepromazine with Olive for maybe the first few flights we ever did with her, but now we just do CBD. It does make them loopy, and it can make them a little more not present, I should say. However, they're not bad to use. Just make sure you talk to your vet before you go and give them any type of sedative.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
You probably saw before, some people like to have their dogs walk to the gate after security and throughout the airport. I don't usually do that just because there's a lot going on and it's just more of a hassle to have to try and keep an eye on her. Now, if your dog is really well behaved on leash, there's nothing wrong with that. Some airports don't allow dogs to walk around unless they're a service animal. However, I've never heard anyone getting in trouble for having their dog out of their carrier walking around, so to each their own. I do not recommend doing that though after the flight until they've had the opportunity to go to the bathroom, because walking will initiate the bowel movements and they can end up going to the bathroom in the airport on the floor. Like, we had that happen, learned that the hard way. Olive was walking after a flight. It was a long day, and all of a sudden, without warning, starts going number 2 in the middle of the floor. So I like scooped her up. We had a poo bag. So now we wait to let her walk after the flight until she's had the opportunity to go to the bathroom. Do you want some water? So I usually we'll use dehydrated fruit, single ingredient, as a treat, but this time I have dehydrated rabbit, and they're just little tiny specks. These are great to have, like if your dog starts barking and you want them just to stop, just give them a treat. I know it's like rewarding bad behavior, I guess. In those scenarios when your dog starts barking, you just want them to stop. You just need to get them to stop. I just give, see, they're really small. I don't give her a ton, but she's not barking, but I think she wants a little treat. So yummy. Great. I love these little rabbit treats for her. Close my backpack. Usually before I board, because there's so much going on at boarding, and when you get on the plane with all of them and whatnot, I will take all the stuff I need and put it on like my headphones, or I'll make sure my iPad's accessible either in an area in her carrier, or I'll just make sure it's quick access so that way I can sit on the seat after I put her under the seat on the plane as I throw my backpack in the overhead bin. But you just want to make sure it's as smooth as possible, so that way you can just focus on getting on the plane and your dog, and you're not stressed or overwhelmed. And then also making sure that your carrier is completely closed up, so that way you don't get in trouble with the flight attendant. So I allow the carrier to be open, hi Olive, until we board, and then when I will close it, I will make sure I'll have the 2 zippers in the front right here. I don't have to reach back because I always will crack it open when she's under the seat, so that way I can check on her.
Even if you're a boy.
It's a girl, you're right.
Good. With his girlfriend, and I was, who's your mother?
We are just waiting for Bryce to board. We boarded early because I paid for pre-boarding, so that way we can get better seats, because we were in the C boarding group first, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to sit in the back of the plane. It's like one of the worst spots to sit in. This is such a flattering angle of me. How many chins can I get going on myself? We are weird. So we are about to take off. It is very normal for dogs to become a little distressed during takeoff and landing, just because it's really loud, get going fast. Even sometimes Olive will do that. She'll actually stand up and like turn around in her carrier. Oh my gosh, do you mind? She'll stand up and turn around in her carrier just to reposition her body so that way it goes in line with as the plane is on an incline. She'll make it so her butt is like at the downward slope. Anyway, you'll see in a minute. I'm sure she'll do it when we take off here in a sec. Told you. And there we go. When you're flying with a dog, you can't see them if you're using your tray table. That's why I really love the bed ledge, because it allows you to be able to see your dog when flying, so you don't have to put the tray table down. We are about to land. It was a very successful flight. All slept the entire time, and this guy even slept a little bit too. All right, we're going to deplane and get our stuff, and then once we are off of the plane and in the airport, I will open Olive's carrier and I will leave her in the bag again until she's had the opportunity to go to the bathroom.
Hi Olive, how was your flight?
Well, my little microphone died. Sad day. And I actually lost it, half of the piece, and then someone found it on the plane. Thank goodness. Alrighty, we're just now waiting for our luggage. Bryce had to go get our rental car. Anyway, if you have any questions about flying with your dog, let me know. Hopefully this video helped you. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.